Well, from the night that everything changed, it definitely, again, humbles you. It humbled me. It's just material possessions. And I am very fortunate to have walked away from that. Had I been in the house asleep, I probably wouldn't have walked out of it alive today.
This is Justin Higgins with Limitless Video Productions. Can you please introduce yourself to everyone?
My name is Tamara Pleasants.
And where are you from, Tammy?
I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
We're here to talk about your journey and where it started. Can you explain to me what happened the night that everything changed?
It was December the 29th, and I couldn't fall asleep. I was up about 4 a.m. drinking coffee when I heard a loud noise, and I became suspicious because I heard something in the backyard. I waited a few minutes and opened the door, and I could smell something burning. Before I know it, it was popping and sizzling. At that point, I grabbed my dog, my walker, and I left the house to look back at the house, and there was flames coming from the ceiling. It was terrifying. As I was heading out the door with my dog on my walker, barely able to get around, I immediately called 911, gave them the address. They wanted me to stay on the line with them. However, I knew I couldn't because of the situation I was in. We were in a row home, like a townhouse. So I let the operator know that as I proceeded to knock on the neighbor's door. Fortunately, I did that, and the neighbor that had children living in their home, the ceiling actually caved in and would have harmed them as well as their 1-year-old child that slept in their room. It was scary. It was very scary. It was devastating. Fire is no joke. Just to see the flames and how quickly it goes up, it was terrifying.
So you barely escaped these flames with your animal and your walker, and you're in your nightgown.
That is correct.
Can you explain to everyone how it felt while you were sitting there on the curb with everything lost?
I was numb at that point. I was glad that I was out of the house. Other members were out of the house. I was just really numb. I didn't know what to think. I was grateful for my life. The possessions I left behind really didn't even matter to me. It's just material things.
Seemed to be all of a sudden put in major perspective, right?
Absolutely so. I did have cherished pictures of my children, but that is something I'll never get back. But as far as the other property, really humbles you when you see it go up in smoke and how easy it is to just go away. It really means nothing. Finally, after about 3 hours, I said to one of the fire, I think it was the fire chief actually, and I told him I had nowhere to go and it was cold. And he said, that's okay, we'll call American Red Cross. And sure enough, he called them and they were out within an hour. At that point, they greeted me graciously and had a little bag of goodies for me, you know, tissues. I was upset and they were able to really break the ice for me. They put me up in a hotel that would accommodate myself as well as my 1-year-old dog. They satisfied my need there as well as another organization, Brighter Days. I got to the point where the funds were running out. I did not have any place to go. This occurred in Pennsylvania. However, I am from Ohio and most of my family are here and friends from high school. I talked to one gal and she took me in. She let me stay in her home for a brief period, but I wasn't getting anywhere. I was calling every affiliation that you could imagine, every low-income housing, because I am handicapped and I am on a limited budget. But it seemed helpless. I just wasn't getting anywhere. Call after call. I was very discouraged. At that point, I was led to Buren Shelter, where I resided there for 3 months. I had called, like I said, numerous places. One of the gentlemen that I spoke to, Brad, he is the manager here where I reside at this time. He called me while I was in the shelter, and he said, "Hey, are you looking for a place?" I cried. I said, "Oh my God, you're my angel. Are you serious?" Housing is a problem. It's an epidemic across the nation to find housing. There's waiting lists, 3 to 5 years. For me to get in after 3 months is incredible, and I thank God for that every day. Well, here I am at my new apartment. Became a very humble person. I'm very satisfied with a small kitchen, a nice bathroom, 1 bedroom, nice sized living room, and I thank God for what I do have. My experience at Van Buren was at first very scary, all walks of life, and I really thought that I could adapt well to any environment, and I pretty much did. There is conflict, there's problems, everybody's there for a reason. Problem being addiction, alcoholism, domestic violence, mental illness. I see a lot of mental illness.
Can you explain your feelings towards Van Buren? Anything you'd like to say to them or anybody in general?
I would definitely like to thank the staff, every member of the staff, the women, the men. They all greeted myself and others as if we were human beings. A lot of the peoples on the staff were also in a homeless situation at that same shelter, which I found very inspiring to hear their stories of their lives that they have overcame and achieved new things. Also, there's conflict. You got fighting and things like that, but most of it is just people dealing with anger. To me, anger is an outward sign of depression. Point blank.
Now, Tammy, I understand that life can be very, very difficult, and my heart is with you.
Thank you very much.
I'm interested to know what kept you inspired. Where did you find your strength? What did it take to remain optimistic? What comforted you? People
of all walks of life, hearing their stories, them crying on my shoulder, and I'm astonished to hear some of what they've been through. It makes me feel like I've had a walk in the park compared to a lot of people out there. I've seen young, beautiful women that are out on the street, literally women, selling themselves on the street. But they're no different than you and I. We're all the same people. Being in a homeless shelter, being homeless, even as a child, you would see an old man walking around with a grocery cart full of cans, the bag lady with loud makeup. You go into a shelter, it's real. My own family put a stigma on being in a shelter as if we are lowlifes. Again, we're all basically just one paycheck away from being in that shelter. I feel like everything that happens in my life, God has a purpose. And I just chalk this up to our God and give Him praise and glory for where He has brought me. It has humbled me. It has made me grateful.
How does it feel to have your own place right now, Tammy?
It feels great. It feels really good.
I'm really happy for you.
I'm happy for me too. Thank you. God tested my patience.
Would you say you came out victorious?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Almost too proud to even say I'm moving on up to my peers, if that's what you want to call them. But I have a lot of the women that really touched my heart, and they'll always have a place in my heart.
So I want to ask, you faced a lot of adversity, from being awake at 4 a.m. with your dog,
Right.
to watching everything be burnt to the ground while you sit there in your wheelchair, to staying in a hotel for a couple weeks, then being forced to rehome your only dog. So the only thing you had left was your dog, and that you were forced to rehome even that. And what did it take? I mean, why didn't you give up?
I have all the faith in the world. My mission is not accomplished yet. I have faith through everything that I've been through. This was just a stepping stone in my life. And I hope one day that I'll be able to witness to somebody.
Now, you mentioned your faith. Was that your motivation and your driving force? Can you explain that to me, your faith, please?
Well, my faith is what's kept me going my entire life, through trials and errors, through my upbringing, through the Catholic school system. I don't know what I would be without Jesus in my life. I really don't know how anybody can deal with life or death without the Lord. It astonishes me and it scares me for the person that is in disbelief.
So you wouldn't blame God for any of this taking place in your life. You would say, in fact, that it strengthened your faith. Is that true?
Yes, it is true. It has strengthened me. And I hope and pray that God uses me to witness to somebody else, to tell them there is hope. Just keep pushing hard. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Yeah. Someone once told me that HOPE is an acronym for Hold On, Pain Ends.
Well, I like that.
Well, it sounds like you held on successfully.
Thank the Lord.
Do you feel that this experience has changed you as a person?
I do. I do.
How so?
I'm humble. I've been through a lot of trials and error, but that fire really brought into perspective how precious life is. And had I not been awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, there were so many lives at stake. It is astonishing what a fire can do, how fast it can go up into flames.
What has this experience taught you?
Gratitude. This experience has taught me gratitude. It has showed me all walks of life. I was completely dumbfounded when I met a lady, 82 years old. 82. She's walking around the shelter, classy as can be. Not a care in the world. She inspired me. There's another lady, and she was also in her early 80s. And in fact, she found a place to live after what seemed to be living a luxurious life prior to that. Just shows you and makes you appreciate life as it is, whether it's good or bad.
Do you feel that this experience has strengthened you as a person and your faith?
It has strengthened my faith. Yes, it has, very much so. From the people that actually worked at Van Buren to the people that have encouraged me. The manager here recognized me as a person in need when I told him my story of losing everything and being handicapped and on a limited income. And he called me 3 months later. I had tears in my eyes. He called me. And very seldom there is a one-bedroom apartment available years out, is what he said to me. And I am the lucky one. And I praise God for that. And it has humbled me. I am happy with what I have, a one-bedroom apartment. It's beautiful. I just hope I can continue to stay here and have peace in my life and chalk this up as experience. And hopefully God will use me the way he has used other people in my life, regardless whether they know it or not.
So you see yourself as being inspired by this situation rather than broken, whereby you want to be used for other people.
Yes, I would like to be used, and I pray to God that he uses me. And I do pray that on a regular basis. God, use me in everything I say and everything I do. And I've had several women just out of the blue break down telling me things, and it's an honor to me that they confided in me and they trusted me and they cried on my shoulder as I cried right along with them.
For anyone struggling or feeling hopeless right now in their lives, what would you like to say to them?
Anybody out there that's struggling, going through trials and errors, keep your faith. Don't give up. God has a plan. He'll use you as he's used me. Don't give up.
As human beings, what do you feel is the greatest gift that we can offer to all others?
What we can offer to all others is love, compassion, forgiveness, hope.
What do you consider living a limitless life?
A limitless life is living by the grace of God and his glory, not the material things, the people around you, not just family, your brother or sister that you met in the parking lot, an older lady in the store that dropped her purse, or what have you. What I would consider living a limitless life would be overcoming traumas, overcoming trials, just to keep plugging along, never give up. God never gave up. Keep your faith. Again, I can't stress that enough. My faith is what keeps me going every single day. And to see people out there suffering, that gives me an inspiration to want to help that person, inspire that person.
So perhaps it's the difficulties and the trials and the tragedies in our own life which strengthen our ability to make an even greater impact in the lives of others around us.
It does make a big impact on the lives around us. You see people suffering, maybe suffering from some of the problems you're suffering, so you can witness to them, a younger version of you. You can allow them to hear your story, witness to them. Who would ever thought I would be able to witness to someone in a shelter, homeless person? Never. But here I am, and I'm proud of it.
Tammy, I want to thank you for your time, and I'm so proud of you, and I love you so much.
Thank you. I love you.